I think I may be in love with Charlize Theron. I just went to go see Atomic Blonde, and right off the top, go do yourself a favor and see it. We need more movies about badass women. Atomic Blonde is the new film based off the graphic novel Coldest City by Anthony Johnston about a spy during the end of the Cold War in Berlin. It stars Charlize Theron and James McAvoy as the two spies, along with big-name stars like John Goodman and somewhat relative newcomer Sophia Boutella, who's been in Star Trek Beyond, The Mummy most recently, and Kingsman and Secret Service. If you think this is radar just because it's some kind of action movie, it's not. It's a hard R. There is a ton of violence and blood and some nudity. There's even kind of a graphic sex scene. There was actually a 10-year-old kid in the audience, which I thought was very weird. Now, I haven't seen either of the John Wick movies, but Atomic Blonde gives me the feel of a James Bond spy movie mashed with the intense action that's in a John Wick movie. And in an interview, Charlize Theron even said that she trained in the same facility that Keanu Reeves trains in for John Wick. If there's one thing I love in a movie, is music. And Atomic Blonde incorporates music so well into their movie. I feel like Atomic Blonde incorporates music probably the same way Edgar Wright does in Baby Driver, which I haven't seen yet, and don't hate me please. I've been trying to, but the closest theater is 30 minutes away without traffic, and I live in LA, so incorporate that 30 minutes plus LA traffic, it's going to be a nightmare. But I promise I will see it soon. I love the way Atomic Blonde takes diegetic music, flows it into non-diegetic music, and then back again throughout certain scenes. It's just a beautiful orchestra of sight and sound. And speaking of the way Atomic Blonde uses music in certain scenes, it also uses color grading and saturation and desaturation very fluidly throughout the entire film. There's certain scenes where you know there's going to be a big fight going down because it gets kind of very blue and desaturated, or it's going to be a more serious scene or some big information is going to come out when the color is turned up and it's very bright and saturated. And now that I've got the sights and sounds out of the way, let's talk about the actors. Now, the main character, the Atomic Blonde, is of course Charlize Theron, and she could not have been more perfect for this role. She plays a James Bond, John Wick combination so perfectly well, but with her own twist that you can't help but want another movie out of this. And this movie is probably going to do very well in the box office, so they probably will end up giving it a sequel, even though it doesn't necessarily need one. You want one, but the ending doesn't necessarily lend itself to having a sequel. But we could always use more badass women in the box office. Take Wonder Woman, for example. This is another Wonder Woman movie, but for a totally different crowd. And not only does Charlize Theron knock this out of the ballpark, James McAvoy is pretty damn impressive. But he's impressive in pretty much everything. I am obsessed with him. Both Charlize Theron and James McAvoy play their characters so fluidly that you don't really get the big twist at the end until the very last seconds of the movie. I did have some idea of who the big bad or the undercover agent was throughout the entire film, but towards the end it was kind of totally flipped on its head, and I did not see it coming whatsoever. For the most part, Sophia Boutella's character, at least to me, seemed like she was just there to be there. And there's a line in the movie that Charlize Theron says, "a means to an end." And I believe this kind of perfectly describes the character that Sophia Boutella plays as the French spy. She's just really a means to an end for Charlize Theron's character to James McAvoy's character. And I'm not saying she was not great. Sophia Boutella played this character amazing. She's really great actually in every movie I've ever seen her in. Even The Mummy, which was really not that great. But her character really did not play much of a role throughout the film, except to get from one place to another, essentially. This isn't all action and espionage. There are some funny moments. There's this one fight scene in the stairwell that seems to the untrained eye like a continuous shot for a good 15 minutes, and there are some pretty funny parts in that. Like, subtly funny, but it had the audience that I was watching this with laughing hysterically. Now, what do I think of this? It's not my favorite movie so far this year. Get Out, The Big Sick, Dunkirk, especially Wonder Woman and Spider-Man Homecoming have those top spots, but this is very much a must-see movie. I'd probably give it like a 7.5 or an 8, mostly just because it's a badass woman action movie, and we rarely get something like this. I remember the first time I saw Aliens, it was like 6 or 8 months ago. The theater I lived near back in Indiana was playing it as a flashback movie, so I went because I'd never seen it before, and I really love Sigourney Weaver, and I really wanted to see a badass woman in an action movie. And of course I was by myself because that's my favorite thing to do, is go to movies by myself. And this one guy who noticed that I go to the flashback movies that this theater played, I was always alone. As we were walking out of the theater, he pointed this out to me and he said, well, why are you going to see Aliens? This doesn't seem like a movie that you would like. I kind of look at him and I'm like, well, I majored in film. I love all kinds of movies. It doesn't matter what genre it is. And then he says, well, I just wouldn't think that a girl would want to go see an action movie where there's aliens and fighting. I kind of just brushed him off in the moment and left. But in my head, I was thinking, really, dude, you don't think a girl would want to go see Sigourney Weaver kick some alien ass? Who wouldn't want to go see that? Most people judge you based on what you look like. I mean, most people probably wouldn't consider me a sci-fi nerd who loves action movies, but I do, and I would love to see more action movies where powerful badass women like Sigourney Weaver, Charlize Theron, Gal Gadot. I think that movies like this are very integral to the way young women will perceive themselves in the future. Seeing movies like this has made me feel way more confident and badass myself, and has inspired me to do things that I never would have dreamed of doing. But that's just my take. As always, I want to know what you guys think. If you've seen Atomic Blonde, let me know what you think and what your score would be. And thank you so much for watching, whoever you are. I really appreciate you. Let me know who you are in the comments down below and let's be friends. If you enjoyed this and want to see more, leave a like, and while you're down there, subscribe if you're new, because I'm going to try to do one of these at least every Friday or whenever some new movies come out. If there's 2 in a week, I may do one on Friday and one on Tuesday. And every other Sunday, I'm checking off one of the movies on the 1001 Movies You Must Watch Before You Die list. This coming Sunday is the 1968 Planet of the Apes, so look forward to that. But I'll see you guys next time. Bye!